This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone. Once again, welcome to the Playwright session, Playwright workshop that we have arranged over here. Welcome you all. Um, so we have categorized our this session in few steps that we have. One that we like I'll just give brief about what we'll be learning in this session, how the workshop is consisting of. So I hope everyone is able to hear me properly as well as see my screen. If anyone is not able to see the screen or hear me properly, please let me know. Okay, so we'll see what kind of the session in the next 1.5 hours we'll be seeing over here. So we'll go through with like uh, first thing will be like what is Playwright and why most of the people and the organization are moving towards Playwright. What is the advantage and over other technologies as well. What's the advantage of Playwright? Then we'll see how do we set up the Playwright and um, few of the few of the test script that we'll be writing over here. Okay, few of the test script for web, and if time permits, we'll also be expanding for uh, how can we use API to make our web application in a better way. Okay, so just before that, I just wanted to introduce I myself. I am Praveen. I have over 11 years of experience in terms of software industries. I have like led many of the teams, worked as a head of a QA, and have done like more than five of the corporate training as well as providing the mentorship from the last 3.5 years around. Okay, I've worked on various tools and technologies, whichever is existing in the market and latest in the market, that and also on the different technologies. So if I talk about tools and technologies, it's like Selenium using Java, Python, then Cypress using again JavaScript, Playwright we using JavaScript and TypeScript, and various other things, which is like mobile automation using API automation for uh, rest assured API, and then using again the Playwright. And apart from that, I've done like a lot of other things in terms of DevOps part. Okay, so we'll start with like without wasting our time, we'll start with our workshop session. I should be hoping this should be an interactive session. So if anyone is completely new to the automation, can you please raise your hand or let me know if anyone of you are completely new to the field of either testing or in terms of automation? Anyone over here? Okay, great. So I would expect like have to be an interactive so that we'll enjoy like you know uh, taking care of like how does the playwright works in general, what is the advantage that we have, and how do we use in a better way to optimize our test cases, how can we utilize like why playwright is so much famous in the market and so on. Okay, so let's see with basic things of what is playwright, right? So in general, playwright is one of a framework that we have available in the market. People say is that a tool as well, it is basically one of a library which gives us a flexibility of writing the test for web automation as well as for API automation, right? Then what is basic advantage of going for playwright? Like why the organization, why the people are moving towards playwright rather than we have like existing one which is Selenium from the last 20 years around, right? So we'll see a couple of things that we have the advantage of. Okay, also Uh, Also, if you want to ask any kind of question, please speak out because I'll not be, checking it out this particular screen when I try to explain something. So please try to speak it out, and then I can take up the following questions. Okay, right. So, what is the basic advantage that the people are moving towards like playwright and not using in terms of not using in the sense like moving from Selenium to Playwright. So there are a couple of advantages that I've listed out over here, and we'll go through with one by one. So how it is like. So it's starting with if we see like what is Playwright. So Playwright basically enables us end-to-end testing for the modern web application with auto waiting concept. When we say like auto waiting concept, it is basically we do not have to write any explicit waiting concept. Let's say if any one of you have already worked in Selenium, so what happen in general is whenever we write a code in Selenium, so whenever we write a code in Selenium, we basically write a waiting concept. That means we have to wait for an element, and then we can basically go for the go for any kind of doing operations. Whereas in Playwright, it automatically handles it. So when I say like automatically handles it, we do not have to write any kind of functions, method, or any kind of property that it has to take care before moving or doing some kind of actions. That's where it is one of a powerful automation tool where it takes care of the auto waiting concept, the waiting concept automatically. And the default time of waiting is basically 30 seconds, which is enough for any kind of test script that we write in Playwright also work on major browser, which is like Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, and Opera as well. It also works on different kind of operating systems. The advantage over here is we know that like even Selenium works on major browser, even Selenium works on most of the operating system. But what is the advantage of using Playwright? So Playwright works on different operating system, which is like Windows, MacBook, Linux, and it also works on supportive native mobile emulation for Google Chrome when we use like Android, and iOS when we use like Safari, for the Safari browser whenever we use iOS. Okay, so we do not have to manipulate any kind of code. We do not have to, uh, you know, change any kind of configuration to work for, um, to write basically the code which will be working for the mobile version of the web, uh, browsers. So whenever we use Android, the Google Chrome will be the default version, and whenever we use iOS, the Safari browser will be a default browser. Okay, so whatever the code we write for working on the window, like desktop or laptop, will be working on the mobile as well. So that is one of again advantage of using Playwright. Okay. Now, it also supports most of the popular language, which is JavaScript, TypeScript, Java, Python, C Sharp, and so on. Selenium also does support all these languages, whereas Playwright supports only JavaScript. Sorry, Cypress support only JavaScript. Playwright support all the other languages, all the popular languages. Playwright, then what are other advantages that we have in terms of Playwright? So if we talk about Playwright, again, Playwright have a feature called traces. Traces in the sense, it basically says that it will automatically take the screenshots. It will also automatically take the video recordings. And we also do not have to write any retry logic for whenever our test get fails. We basically write a retry logic saying that if the test have been failed, again try to run that. So for that also we'll have to write 4 to 5 lines of code in other tools that we have in terms of automation. For recording, we have to specifically use like either Java or Python, whatever the technology that we use. So for that also, we'll have to write at least 10 lines of code. And for taking the screenshot, let's say if we are using Selenium, then we completely have to depend on the third party tools. third-party library, which is commons.io. For that also, if you see this, this is one of a code that I have written for taking the screenshot. If you see this, this is the complete details of taking the screenshot in Selenium. Okay, whereas we do not have to write any lines of code in Playwright to take the screenshot of the page or elements using Playwright. Okay, this is again one of a advantage for using Playwright. Okay, then Playwright also have a support of inspector tool, which is one of a tool that they have given, which is very powerful in terms of debugging. So whenever let's say our test get failed, so I believe I have something open over here that I can show you. So let's say whenever our test get failed, at that point of time, and px playwright test hyphen us. So this is something will open over here. That is a tool will open over here that we can check it out. See, this is an inspector tool. Something has opened over here, right? So this is an inspector tool which will basically list out all the tests that we have written till now. Okay, and here we can also run our test case. Plus, we'll also be able to see what happened like before doing any kind of actions and what happened after performing some kind of actions. Okay, so all those debugging part will get it from here. It will also display like what are the locators that we have used. It will also display like what are the errors, what are the console any kind of network that it has, the API calls have been done, and then attachment. After running any of the test case, we can see all these things will be displayed over here. We'll go through in this session as well. Okay, and then we have this is one again advantage in terms of whenever our test get failed, debugging steps will be very easy by utilizing the inspector tool of Playwright. Okay, then we also have a support for the API, which is like again a built-in support for API testing libraries. So we do not have to depend on any third-party libraries to automate for the API. Playwright will be able to handle it automatically. Automatically in the sense they have given like some kind of methods and libraries, classes and methods that they have provided us in terms of automating this particular like whenever we try to automate any kind of API. Okay, so it will be very easy in terms of testing like some edge cases and taking the help of API to basically fast the execution of the web application and web automation and so on. There is one more tool that Playwright has given, is known as Playwright CodeGen. So CodeGen is similar to Selenium IDE, where it automatically generates the code and we can directly copy paste and use in our framework as well. So this is again one of a powerful tool that will generate the code automatically for us. Okay. Uh, and also this basically Playwright have been designed on the top of Node.js. So it majorly like the people or the industry follows either JavaScript or TypeScript. If you people have already worked on any other tools earlier, then you might be knowing how hard it is in terms of handling the shadow DOM element. Shadow DOM element is basically an element which will be handled in the web application as a hidden element, kind of like developer will be writing the code to hide it from the main page of the application. So to handle this, it is very hard in terms of writing in terms of like Selenium. Whenever we use Selenium, so automating shadow DOM element will be a completely harder things, where we have to navigate to the shadow root, like where the shadow DOM has been started and so on. Okay, that again takes at least like 10 lines of code to write and identify the element. Whereas Playwright says that you do not have to do any kind of things. Just write the locators for an element and it will be able to handle even the shadow DOM elements. Okay, so these are few of the advantages that we have in Playwright over other tools and technology that we have in the market. Okay. Um, so we have so in terms of, if you see, like, how do we have structured is like, what is Playwright, what is the advantage of Playwright. So we have gone through with this, and let's see how do we set up, how easy the setup of the Playwright is, and then we'll move forward from there by writing few of the scripts. Okay. Till now, any kind of doubts or any kind of questions that you people are looking out for? Okay, great. So let's see how do we basically set up the Playwright uh, in our in any of the tools and technologies, whatever the tools and technology that you can use. So let's say if we are going for JavaScript and TypeScript, then we can basically tie JavaScript and TypeScript. Then we can uh, take take a help of IDE, which is in general known as Visual Studio Code. It is known as Visual Studio Code. It is very powerful in terms of whenever we write the code in JavaScript or TypeScript. If you are trying to use some other technologies, then you can use take the help of IntelliJ as an IDE. Okay, so here we'll be using either JavaScript or TypeScript. So the prerequisite for starting with the Playwright is we need to have Node.js installed in our system. Okay, so Node.js have to be installed. So this will be the prerequisite to start with Playwright. Okay, so first will be the Node.js that has to be installed in our system. And second, whenever we install Node.js, npm will automatically be installed along with the Node.js. So npm is Node Packaging Manager, which used to manage all the packaging of the node. Okay. Second requirement is we need to have an IDE. So as I talked about over here, if we are trying to use JavaScript or TypeScript, we can go for Visual Studio Code. Okay, Visual Studio Code is one of our IDE. Okay, that have been developed by Microsoft. And then we have to install Playwright. Okay, so to install Playwright, the prerequisite part is Node.js and Visual Studio Code should have to be installed in our system. So let's start with, I already have installed everything. If you people have already installed, you can start writing the code side by side. Or if you do not have, then I'll show you like how do we basically install the Node.js, how do we start writing, installing of the Visual Studio Code, and how do we start writing the code from there onwards. Okay, so to install Node.js, what we can do is you can just search Node.js. Okay, and as soon as you search, it will display some kind of search. So wherever you select Node.js, run JavaScript everywhere, you can click on that link, and it will take us to the main page of Node.js. There you can click on download, or it will directly show over here as download Node.js. Okay, as soon as you click here, it will start downloading. It will start downloading a version, and from there, basically, it will start downloading the latest version of the Node.js. And from here, we can click on it. It will basically download in .msi file, which will be again one of our tools. So it says that I already have a setup, so it is not providing any kind of options. But in your if you are trying to install in your system, it will have some of the options that you can directly check and click on next every time till you get the finish button over here. Okay, we do not have to set any other things. You can just click on next, 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 and it will take you to the finish. That means the last page, and then you can click on close. Okay. um, right. And then how do you have to check whether it has been already installed in your system or not? You can go to terminal, you can basically go to the command prompt. You can go to command prompt and just search it and just search it at node hyphen hyphen version. So if it has been installed successfully, then it will provide you some kind of uh, values with the version over here. If it is not, then it will say you node is not recognized as internal or external command. And as I said earlier, that whenever we install node, npm will automatically be installed. So after installing node, you can also search it with npm hyphen hyphen version, and it will also give you some kind of version that it has installed in your system. Okay. As soon as you install Node.js, you can move to the next, which is installing the Visual Studio Code. So you can just search it out again, which is a Visual Studio Code download. You can say it out, and it will again, you can click on download Visual Studio Code. It will take you to the download page, and based on your version, you can just click on the installer part. Okay, whatever is your version, either you're using Windows or you're using Ubuntu, or that means Linux or MacBook. You can, whatever the operating system that you are trying to use, you can select and click on installer, which is like you can click on this button, it will start downloading, and it will again open a pop-up where you can just click on next, 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 and finish. Okay, so as soon as you install this, the Visual Studio Code, it will, and once you open this, it will look like something kind of this one. Okay, I hope everyone is able to see this. So whenever you install in your system, it will be installed in this way itself. Okay, when you open for the first time, you will get a page where it says that welcome. Okay, now the next part will be, as we have already installed Node.js, which is like preconditions for starting with Playwright. So we have already downloaded like Node.js, then Visual Studio Code, and now we'll start with the installation of Playwright. Okay, so to start with Playwright, first Node.js have to be installed in our system. Without Node.js, we'll not be able to do, because Playwright have also designed on top of Node.js itself. Okay, and also Node.js, what is basically Node.js? So if you see, like, Node.js is basically a open source cross-platform tools which is working as a JavaScript runtime environment. We have something known as JVM in Java, right? JVM is work for Java Virtual Machine, like JRE, which is Java Runtime Machine environment. So in the same way, Node.js is working as a JavaScript runtime environment, which will run the JavaScript code on any of the browser wherever we are trying to use. Okay, so I've also given over here like how do we install Node.js, how do we install Playwright, and so on. That we'll see uh, just in a couple of more minutes. Okay, so uh, as soon as you install Visual Studio Code, we have to basically create a project to work with Playwright, right? So how do we create a project is you can click on open folder. Whenever you go to Visual Studio Code, you will see this Explorer option. You can click on that and then click on open folder. Okay, so you can click on open folder and then go to wherever you want to store your code. Okay, so let's say I'm going inside that desktop and then Praveen, and then I'm saying, like, let's say a new folder I'm creating over here known as, let's say, Playwright workshop. I'm just trying to give some random name over here, and this folder I can select to write the complete Playwright code. So whatever the code now I'll be writing, it will be saved inside this particular folder. Okay, now, okay, we have like installed Node.js. We have also installed with Visual Studio Code. We have created a folder where all the codes will be stored for whatever the code that we write in terms of Playwright. Okay. Now, how do we install Playwright? Everything is set up, Node.js is set up, Visual Studio Code is set up, folder have been set up. Now, how do we write the Playwright? How do we install the Playwright? Right. So first thing is, whenever we work with any kind of tools, we have to basically install those tools, right? We have to basically set up the jars. So for that, we have another command, one of a command, which is known as npm init playwright. Okay. So whenever we type just npm init playwright, earlier I talked about what is npm. So npm is Node Packaging Manager, which used to manage all the Node.js applications. Okay, whatever it has been developed using Node.js. Playwright also developed by using Node.js itself. NPM stands for Node Packaging Manager. Init is for initialize. So I'm saying, so we are saying over here as npm initialize what Playwright. Okay, so npm init Playwright. Whenever you give this particular command, it will automatically start downloading our Playwright, and it will ask few of the questions like what kind of language that we want to use. Okay, so it will select what kind of language that we want to use. We can select it over here. Let's say if you want to use JavaScript, then you can select JavaScript and then again click on enter. It is saying that where do you want to write your end-to-end test cases. So this, whatever the name that you provide over here, it will create a folder with that name. I'm just considering it as a default, which is tests. And then again click on enter. It is also saying that do you require a CI/CD pipeline using GitHub Actions? Currently, I'm saying it as a false. And then again, it will ask you whether you want to install npx playwright install. You can by default say it as true and then click on enter. So as soon as you click on enter, it will start. It will basically generate this particular JSON file. You can see like it started generating package.json, and it will start completion like installation of the Playwright. So it is very simple. As soon as it's finished the installation, you will see something message known as happy hacking. Okay, if you see this one, that means the installation have been completed successfully. And as soon as the installation have been completed for the Playwright, you will see some of the modules that it has created over here. So these node modules basically work as the storage of all the libraries or jars that it has installed during installation of Playwright. Okay, then as I told earlier, like at the time of installing, it asks us where do you want to store the test. So I've just selected the test. So that is why it has also created a test folder where we'll be writing the complete test. And then few of the things that they have created, which is like package.json. It says that like what is the project name that you have, what is the version, what kind of like installation that we have done till now, which is like Playwright and then Node, it is saying. And then they have also generated a automatically configuration file for Playwright. So this configuration file will be used as a test runner, where we can see like it has automatically selected the test folder where we will be writing the test. So whenever we run any kind of test in Playwright, at the time of running, it will come to the playwright.config.js file and then will validate all these scenarios. So when I say like all these scenarios, it will check like where are the like tests have been stored inside the framework or the project, whether it is uh, uh, whether it is applicable for parallel running, whether it is applicable for retries, how many time, what is the default timeout that it has given, what are the different projects, that means what are the different browsers that it has to go through with. So by default it take care of three browsers, which is Chromium, Firefox and Safari. Safari is known as WebKit in Playwright. You can see it has given the name as desktop Safari. Okay, so all these configuration it will automatically do for us. We do not have to do any kind of things over here. Okay, and in terms of that, it will also give us some kind of examples that they have written in Playwright. So to start with, like as a freshers or as a new learner for the Playwright, it basically defines some kind of test. It says that this is the test that we have to write. This is the type of the test that we have to write in by using Playwright. Okay, and they have also created one new folder which is known as test example, where they have given around 30 different test cases, so that like we can just check it out in terms of if it is required, and we can start it with it. So for now we do not require test examples. I'll just delete it from here. You people can, if you just want to see that how they have written and so on, you can just keep on checking like all those 30 different types of tests that they have given as an example. Okay, so here we'll try to see like what they have given one demo example where it says that how do we have to write the test in Playwright and what are the different things that we have to follow. Okay, so I hope like if any one of you are trying to install, you can try to install side by side and have a practice as well. Okay, so we'll see one thing over here, which is it says that whenever we have to start writing the test, we have to import some of the modules. So they have imported a module known as test from Playwright. So we have to import it. Example, whenever we have to use array list in Java, we basically have to import java.util.io. So that means we are trying to use some kind of method available inside some of the classes. So in the same way, here also we have to import some of the modules available inside a Playwright. Okay. So for that, it says that this is a const keyword which has been given by the JavaScript. So JavaScript is having different keywords. So one of a keyword is const, known as constant. Whenever we have to declare a variable using a constant, as a constant, we can define a keyword known as const. And then we are saying we are trying to import test and expect. Test is a module which is used for writing the test using test function. Okay, and then expect is one of another module which is available inside a Playwright, which is used for writing the assertion in Playwright. So in general, if you might have already worked on Selenium, you might be knowing that we have to use either testng or JUnit to write the assertion and depend on the assertion for either testng or JUnit. Whereas Playwright automatically gives us one of a module known as expect. By using this expect, we'll be able to write the assertion as well. Okay. Now let's see how do we basically start writing the test case in Playwright. So whenever we write or we start writing test case in Playwright, we have to start with a test function. This is one of a test function. Whatever the keyword that we have given over here at the time of install, like basically importing the module, that particular keyword that we have to use over here. So it says that it is one of a test function which is used to create a declare a test, which is used to basically create a test in Playwright. And this accept couple of parameters. One is title, whatever the title that we are trying to write for the test case, and a body which will be as a function. Okay, so this is one of a function. This is an anonymous function which is available in JavaScript. Okay, so this test function will take couple of parameter. One is title of the test case, and other is a function. Inside this function, that means inside this curly braces of the function, we'll have to write the each and every step that we have to follow. Okay, and then there is something called as async and await keyword. So what is meant by async and await keyword is, in general, JavaScript is an asynchronous language. So what is meant by asynchronous? So asynchronous is, let's say if we have different steps, right? Let's say step one is performing the launching browser. Step two is trying to perform like filling username and password. And then step three is trying to do let's say clicking on login button. Okay. So in general, whenever we write any kind of test using JavaScript or TypeScript, it, it is known as, like, JavaScript and TypeScript is basically asynchronous in nature. So when we select asynchronous, that means it will not guarantee you that the step one will be executed at the first line, step two will be executed like after launching the browser, and step three will be executed after filling the username and password. As it is known as asynchronous, so all the three steps will start executing at the same time. Okay, that means all the three steps will start running parallelly. So to make synchronous manner, we use async and await keywords. Okay, and then there are few of the methods that we'll discuss in the like next around 40 minutes of time. Okay, so let's also, one of the important things, like whenever we have to start creating the pages for writing the test case, there are some kind of certain rules that the Playwright has given, which is like you have to create the page in such a way that it should start with like some of the name of the file that you want to give. In this for this particular file, that they have given the name as example, and then you have to give dot, then again spec.js, that we have to write at as a mandatory. Okay, so it says that example.spec.js. Okay, let's remove all the codes that it has given, and I'll also rename the file. Okay, let's delete it itself, and then we'll create a new file over here. Okay, so create a new file. Let's create a new file and give the name as basics.spec.js. Okay, let's try to write few of the test case that we will be going through with like the demo of our session. Okay, let's start with it. So as we know, as I talked earlier, that we have to use some kind of things like before start writing the test cases, we have to import few of the modules. So we'll import the test module and expect. Test module is basically used to write the will help us in writing the test, and expect will help us in writing the assertion. From where? So that we have to give inside a either single quote or double quote with @rewrite test. Okay, that means it is trying to import test and expect module from Playwright. Okay, and then once we start writing the test case, we have to use the test function of the Playwright, which will be helpful in terms of writing the test. You can see it has also given some kind of examples, but it says that we have to import this, then start writing the test cases. So to start writing the test case, we have to use a test function that it is available inside Playwright. Okay, let's give it as a name called basic validation. Basic validation, we can just give a name, and then as we know, it will take a second parameter as a function. That means a body where we have to write the test cases, and all those body will go inside a curly braces that we can see it over here, right? So just write it in the same way as it has written. So we can just copy paste from there for now. I'm just trying to copy paste over here for now. But how do we have to write is async, and then we have to write a arrow function. This is an arrow function, which is also known as an anonymous function in JavaScript. Okay, and this page that we have written inside a curly braces is known as a fixture available inside a Playwright, which is known as fixture. Okay, so why do we use this page fixture is it will automatically create. If you just try to hover on this, it says that it automatically create the it will basically automatically initiate the browser, as well as it will create a new page inside a browser. So whenever we used page as a fixture, it will automatically create instead of writing, I'll just go through with that. So it will basically initiate a browser as well as create a page, create a new page or a fresh page inside the browser. So whatever the browser that we use, either Chrome, Firefox, um, Safari, or so on, it will create a page inside that browser. Okay. And then whenever we have to start writing, we know that we have like earlier gone through what is use of async and await. Async and await basically used to make the script in a synchronized fashion so that it will work one by one at a time. Okay, so whenever we write a test case in Playwright, every step we have to write await keyword. Okay, and now this became our handle. This page fixture that we are trying to use, it will basically initiate browser as well as create a fresh page. So this page became now handle, like a global variable kind of things, or an object, by using which we can use all the methods and have, like whatever the methods that Playwright has given. Okay, so our goal here is to write some kind of test over here. So I'll one of a free website that we have, which is known as Demo QA, and there they have given few of the examples where, let's say, if you have to validate, like fill the text box and so on. So for that they have given one of a website which is known as demoqa.com. And our goal is to just validate. I'll just try to give some kind of examples, like how do we fill the element inside a text box, how do we click on checkbox, and we'll see with the different examples, right? So first, like, see, with the basic things, like how do we send the text in a text box, which is known as here as a full name. So how do we enter the full name over here? Okay, so let's try to see how do we write this. It is very simple in terms of Playwright. So what we have to do is we have to use a method called goto, which will accept a URL. So method goto is basically used to redirect whatever the URL that we give, that we provide you over here, and it will redirect to the browser that it will that we have defined. So we have defined, if you go to the Playwright config, we have currently defined three browsers, which is Chrome, Firefox, and WebKit. In general, I'll comment it out all these two things. I'll use Chromium for now, which is like Chrome browser. Okay, so how do we launch the URL using Playwright is we in general have to use a method known as goto. It will launch the URL in the browser that we have provided. Now again, there are a couple of things that Playwright has given, like how do we what are the locators that Playwright supports. So there are different locators that Playwright support. One is like CSS selector, other is XPath, and few of the methods that it has that Playwright has given, which is built in the nature, that they have given using, like we can directly use get by role, get by text, get by label, placeholder, and different type of get by uh, locator that Playwright has given. Okay, so we can take the help of either CSS selector, XPath, or the built-in methods that Playwright has given. Okay, so we'll try to use any of the methods, any of the either like using get by role, get by text, or we can also take the help of CSS selector or XPath, whatever it basically suits for us. Okay, so for now we see like it is having a placeholder which is known as full name, right? So if you see like in this, what is this? So this is basically a DOM, document object model, which is basically used to identify an element in the web page, right? These are known as document object model, which is having a different attribute, different properties for an element. So we are trying to identify this full name as a text. There it has given input as a tag, one of a property known as autocomplete, other property known as placeholder, type, ID, and so on. So let's say whenever we see like an attribute known as placeholder, at that point of time, writing the locator, we can directly use uh, a method that Playwright has given is known as get by placeholder. Okay, and the name, the placeholder value that it has given inside a application for inside a page for element, that we can write it over here. So what we are trying to do over here is we are generally here we are trying to locate an element which is having a placeholder name as full name. Okay, so we are just trying to locate an element with get by placeholder. That means the attribute of an element having a placeholder attribute with and the value as full name. So we have directly used a method that Playwright has given is known as get by placeholder. So if you see this one, get by placeholder, and you click on this, it says that input may have a placeholder attribute to hint the user to write the locator. So if any of the element is having an attribute as placeholder, we can directly use get by placeholder and the value that it has for the element inside the page. Okay, that is what I'm trying to do over here. And then this is a built-in a locator that Playwright has given. This is not something that we are writing either a CSS or XPath. Okay, and then what we have to do, we have to enter some of the elements. So to enter the element, we have another method known as fill in Playwright. Okay, fill accept a value in string format. Okay, and whenever we use fill, this fill method in general will work on only the tag, that only the element which is having a tag known as input, text area, or content editable. If you are trying to work on a div element and you are trying to use fill as a method, then it will not work in general. So if you see out of these three tags for the element, which is input, text area, and content editable, if in general, if we talk about this particular full name text box, we see there is a tag name as it is known as input, right? So if you use a fill method over here, which is basically used to set a value to the input field. Let's say I'm just trying to validate it with a name. Okay, and let's see how it this application or this page basically works. So if let's say if I just try to filter testing over here and we click on submit, it will basically generate again a model which will have a name with whatever the name that we have filled over here, right? So we can also assert this one whether it has been successfully filled or not, whatever the element that we have filled, whether that have been successfully filled or not. Okay, so we have one ID which is known as submit. We have to identify this particular element, which is submit button. To click on this and then it will be generated so that we can assert this value whether it is appearing successfully or not. So we have an element we have an attribute which is known as ID to identify a submit element. Okay, so whenever we see ID as a property, and if we want to write a locator in terms of Playwright, in terms of JavaScript or in terms of CSS, whenever we utilize a CSS selector as a locator, and we have an ID as a property, we can directly write to identify the ID. We can directly write hash and then the value of the ID. Okay, hash and then value of the ID to identify the locator. So if you see this is able to identify a locator which element which is submit. So we can directly write a locator using this particular locator. Now there is another and simple way of writing the locator in Playwright is Playwright have provided a method known as locator. This will basically accept a selector which is a string format. It says that it is able to identify an element inside the DOM. So it is this locator method is used to write a locator to identify an element. This method basically returns an element locator that can be used to perform an action on any of the element. Okay, so this locator is a method which is used to identify an element in the web page. And for that, we have written a locator using CSS selector. Whenever we see an ID available as an attribute, at that point of time, we can directly use hash as a hash to identify the ID. If we have class name available, then we can use dot and then the class name value that it is having. Okay. So what we are trying to do, we have to click on this submit button. So to click on submit button, we have a method known as click in Playwright. So whenever we use click method, it says that it will click on an element. It's as simple as that. It is like saying click on an element. Now we know that as soon as we click on this particular element, it will display some of the value, that whatever the value that we have entered. It is again having a ID as name. It is saying that name. So as we know that if the ID as a property available, then we can directly use hash and then ID, and it will be able to identify the element. If we have a class, then we can directly use dot and then the class name. So we see here it is also able to identify our exact element that we are trying to do. So let's capture it out. We are trying to just assert over here that this particular value, whatever we have filled in terms of full name, is appearing as name and the value that we have entered over here. Okay. So let's see how do we assert in Playwright. So to assert in Playwright, we have to use a method known as expect. Okay, that is where we have imported this expect method. So if we expect module, so we whenever we have to assert anything like validate whether the action have been successfully completed or not, we have to use expect function. It will say like it will take actual and the expected value that it has to take. So we know that there will be an element which will be generated on the page after clicking on submit. So we have to locate that particular element. So for that, we know that how do we locate an element is by using page.locator. And then we can say that this particular element, whatever we are trying to locate, basically contains a text which is this particular value. We can directly copy and paste from over here. So we are saying that identify this particular element and validate whether this element contains the value as name testing or not. Okay, we can also use over here like to have text. To have text is a method which is used to identify whether the element that we are trying to validate over here is having a value as text or not. Okay, so this is a very simple test that we have written. Let's try to run it out and check like how do we run the test in Playwright. Okay, so if you see this at the time of installing the Playwright, it has given some kind of command over here. So if you see this, it has given a command known as npx playwright test. This command is basically used to run the test cases. Whenever we have to start, whenever if we want to start with like inspector, at that point of time, we can use npx playwright test --ui so that it will start our inspector. Now I'll show you with this particular value itself. So let's say --ui. So it will first uh, open our inspector tool in Playwright. So let's wait for a second. My system is very slow today, I believe. Okay, so see, it has started. It has opened a inspector tool, and whatever the test that we have written, it is automatically displaying over here. So we have just written one test case in this particular project. And if you click on this icon, which is known as run, so it will start automatically the test case. It will not open any browser over here because we are trying to use the Playwright inspector tool. So it will keep on running over here. As soon as it get the value, it will try to fill the value that we have given, that we have used at the time of clicking. It's basically very slow. So we can see here it is trying to check whether it has. Okay, so at the end we are seeing like it is saying that it has been successfully passed, right? So now you see it. This is a debug tool where it is a very good in terms of debugging whether it has been successful or not. So before you can see it has not launched anything inside the browser, and after you see it has launched the application. And now if you see over here, it it tried to it automatically fill the value as well, like whatever the text that we have given to fill the elements, and it also clicked on submit button after. But before, if you see, uh, before doing this particular action, it is saying that I have already filled the testing value, and after the clicking on submit button, it is saying that it has also generated the expected value. And if you click on after, it is saying that now I am on this particular element to do some kind of action. So this is in terms of UI. That means the inspector tool that Playwright has given. But if you just want to run it normally without using Playwright inspector tool, at that point of time we can give npx playwright test. Playwright will basically run our test by default in headless mode. That means it will not open any browser and it will start executing the test. But if you use hyphen hyphen headed, at that point of time it will start running our test in headed mode, right? So here, if we I see like it has not launched. So if you use like npx playwright test, you'll see like it has automatically completed the test over here by running the code in headless mode. Here we can see, let me use a property known as headless, which is as a false. And let's try to run this now. So we are trying to run our test case in headed mode, not in the headless mode. So whenever we use npx playwright test hyphen hyphen headed, and also we mention something over here which is known as, let's say, headless false, at that point of time it will start running our test case in headless mode. Currently I see here we have to mention it as a headless. If we just write npx playwright test, so you can see here it started, it launched the browser, the Chrome browser that we have used, and it is trying to load the application first. As soon as the application load, we'll see that it will fill the full name, and then see the test was so fast that we did not even select whether it has filled or not, right? But in general, when we do the assertion, that itself says that everything have been completed properly. So let's give a waiting concept, like wait for few seconds to see whether it has been successfully filled or not. So let's wait for 3 seconds over here to see whether it has really entered the value as a testing inside the page or not. Okay, so we it is trying to load the application. I'll see it will fill on like full name. See, it has successfully filled and it has also displayed this, which is name testing. Okay, so this is one of a test case. It's very simple in terms of writing the test using test case using Playwright. Now let's try to use uh, another one, another test case where we'll see like how how do we handle multiple windows, or how do we okay, let's go through with like how do we handle the multiple windows in Playwright. Okay, so before moving to the next one, are you people able to understand or able to follow, or do you have any kind of questions over here till now? Yes, no, please.
Yes, we are
Okay,
following.
great. Okay. So let's move to the another one where we'll see like how do we handle multiple windows in terms of Playwright. Okay. So again, as we know that, see you, if you're completely new, like in terms of Playwright, you'll not be able to understand completely. But I just wanted to show you like in terms of the workshop, like how Playwright is easy, how in terms of installing it is very easy, in terms of writing and managing the test case, it used to be very easy whenever we use Playwright. It is not something that I have only worked on Playwright. I have used all the tools that is available in the market. Okay, so we'll write another test. For that, we'll have to use again test function, and we'll say like uh, handling multiple tabs or windows. Okay, and then we know that it will accept a function which will be asynchronous in nature. So we have to define async as a keyword and then define a function which I'm trying to define it as a async as arrow function by using arrow, or we can also define a function using the keyword known as function. Instead of writing this arrow and pipe symbol, and this is like pipe symbol and then right angle bracket, like right angle symbol, instead of that we can also define just a function over here, and it will behave in the same way. So we know that whenever we have to launch a URL, we have to use page.goto. And in this particular uh, application itself, we have one place where we have like handling windows. So let's click on browser windows. So here we can see, I'll just give a manual navigation first, which is like new tab. If you click on new tab, it will open a new tab. Simple, and this has a text known as this is a simple page. If you click on new window, then it will open a entirely new window and it will have a text as this is a sample page. Okay, so let's try to see how in general Playwright is able to handle the multiple tabs or multiple windows. Okay, so this is the URL that we have to launch for the application, and then we again have to identify, let's say, new tab to open the different tabs. So we have, as soon as we try to locate this, we know that why are we trying to locate the element, so that whatever the operations that we have to do, actions that we have to do, this element will be able to identify. That means the locator that we are trying to write will be able to identify the element on the page. As I discussed earlier, if we have id as a property, then we can, in terms of CSS, we can directly write hash and then id. Or let's write in terms of how do we write by using the XPath. So if you see, we can use like double slash and then the tag name that we have for new tab. So if you see the tag name, which is available as a button, and the property is ID. So how we can write in terms of XPath is, we can directly write ID equals to the value that it has for ID, and we'll see that it is able to uniquely identify. So how do I know it is able to uniquely? So that you can see one of one is available over here. Okay, so we can directly copy paste, and then we can say that await piece dot locator. How do we write a locator? To identify an element by using a locator method, and that we have to write either inside a single quote or double quote. So let's store it inside a variable known as new tab. I'm just trying to give a variable name which is new tab, and have stored the locator over here. Now whenever a new tab or new page or new window opens in a browser, there will be an event will be fired that will be known as a page event. So whenever there will be a new tab or new page opens or new window opens in the browser, there will be an event will be fired which is known as a page event. Okay, So by using this page event, we will be able to understand like the JavaScript or the HTML code that we see over here. These are the codes that they have written to develop this particular website, right? So whenever there will be a new window, let's say if you click on new window, there will be a new window opens as a browser, and then if you click on new tab, there will be a new page or new tab will open. So JavaScript will be able to know that there will or the browser will be able to know that there have been a page created or there have been a new window created. At that point of time, the page event will get called. Okay. So how browser, any of the browser, not only the Chrome, but any of the browser will know that there have been a new tab open or new window open by identifying if there are an event called as page event. Okay, so if there is a page event have been called in the browser, that means browser will know that there have been a new event or in terms of either new tab or new window have been opened. Okay, so whenever we have to work with multiple windows, we basically have to provide another fixture known as browser. We cannot directly work using the page fixture that we have used over here. Page will handle like automatically initiate the browser and will also create a page. By using browser, we basically have to manually handle this. So how do we handle? By whenever we use browser fixture is we have to create or initiate a context of the browser. So how do we use or initiate the context of the browser is by using new context. New context is a method which basically creates a browser context, and it will be a fresh page in terms of incognito. It says that it won't share any cookies and cache. Okay. And again, this we have to store as it says that this new context, just try to get this. So new context method will return us a browser context. Okay, it will basically return us some of the value which they have given as a browser context. Okay, so that I have stored inside a variable known as context. Okay, and using this context, we know that this is just a browser. Okay, but on the browser we have to create a page. So whenever we create a new tab on this plus icon, a page will be created. That will be a new page. Whereas this new context is just trying to initialize our browser, initiate the browser context. Okay, and whenever there will be a new page will be created on the context. This is a browser context. This is one of a browser that we are trying to use, and on that whenever we click on plus, it is able to create a new page. So that means a new page will be created on the browser level, context level, right? So to create a new page, we have to use a context over here, whatever the variable that we have written to store this response, which will basically create a new context for the browser. By using that context, which is like this context, and there is a method known as new page. Here what we are trying to do is whenever we use browser fixture, we have to initiate this browser context, and we have to create a new page manually, by manually in the sense by just writing these two lines of code. But whenever we write a page fixture, these two lines will automatically be created. Okay, so this is another way where we can write the where we can start writing the test cases. So why are we trying to use browser fixture over here at the time of handling multiple tabs is because we know that whenever there will be a new tab or new window will be created, that will be created on the context level, not directly on the page level. And that is why we are trying to utilize the fixture known as browser. Okay, now in general what happen is a event will be called whenever we click on this new tab. An event will be called immediately, and that event will be known as a page, which will be knowing that a tab or a new event or a new window have been appeared or have been created. Okay, so in general, what we have to do is we have to click on this element. At the same time, we have to also wait for page event to appear or page event to fire on the browser, right? So to handle multiple windows, we have one of a method inside one of a method that is available in JavaScript known as promise.all. Okay, promise.all will generally accept an array of steps. That means it says that whenever we have to handle multiple steps parallelly, if we have to handle multiple steps parallelly, we can write it inside a promise.all inside an array. So how do we in general, how do we create an array in JavaScript is by using square bracket. So whatever the action now that we have to write, it will go inside this particular method. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to wait for page event to appear on the browser. So for that we have to use, as I said, the page will be created, new page, whenever there will be new page, will be created on the context level, not on the page level. Okay, so on context we have to wait for event. What kind of event? As I said earlier, it will have to wait for a page event. And as we are trying to write the step inside an array, it will be separated with a comma. And what will be the new next action? We have to click on this new tab. So as we have to click on new tab, we have stored the locators inside this particular variable. So we are saying click on this new tab. And if you see, this promise.all method will return us an array of result. Okay, so whatever the steps that we are trying to write, for all the steps it will return some kind of value. If you see, like wait for event will return us a page value. That means it will have an identification of the new page that it is trying to create. This click method will not return anything, it will just return a void. That means it is not returning anything. So at this point of time, wait for event is returning us a page handle, that means a new page. So that we have to store inside a variable, which let's say I'm saying as a new page. Okay, we are saying as a new page. Now we know that this promise.all will return a response as array format. So we have to again declare it inside the square bracket. We use square bracket to create an array in JavaScript. That is why we have to use square bracket, because we know that wait for event will return us page handle, and then click will not return us anything. So that is why I have just declared a one particular variable to accept the new page handle. And now whatever we have to work on, whatever, let's say we clicked on this and we have to identify this particular element, which is like this is a simple page, to check whether that is appearing on the page or not. So now we have to write a locator by using the new page handle that it is trying to return us. So by using this new page handle, we will be able to write the locators in the same way as we have used the page fixture, or by using this particular page fixture to launch the locator. So from now on, whatever we have to do or perform any kind of actions on the new page, we have to write a locator using this particular variable that it is trying to accept the new page handle over here. Okay, and we have to write a locator to identify this, which is like, let's say, new page dot locator, and then we can use something known as, let's say, to be, or we can directly write an assertion over here, which is like, let's say, expect this particular locator that I'm trying to identify, which is this one, dot to have text value as, because it is having some kind of text, so we are saying like, let's say, to have text value, which is this one. So why I'm trying to use new page over here is because from this step we'll get a new page handle. And now if we have to again go back to the original page to click on the new page, let's say we have to perform some kind of operation again on going back to the new page, we can identify a locator, which is like, again, let's say tab, button, and then whenever we have to go back again to the original page, we have to again use the original handle, whatever we have created at the time of launching the URL. So again, we have to go back to the page dot located, and then we can directly say like click, as I'm just trying to click on that particular element for now. I'll wait for some time over here. Let's say page dot wait for timeout for 3 seconds to check whether all the actions are performing over here or not. I am using over here a notation or annotation known as only. So at this, if I use like only over here on the test, it will only run that particular test. So let's see. I'll just use again npx playwright test, as we have already given inside the configuration as a headless, which is false. So it will run our test case in headed mode, which will launch the browser. It will also launch the demo QA application. It will wait for the page to load, and we see like it has basically see it has done all the operations. So we saw first like it clicked on new page, which is this one. It basically clicked on first like new tab. After this, let's wait for another seconds to see whether it is really performing or not. Page dot wait for timeout, which is like, let's say 2 seconds, and then we can see whether it is performing the complete validation or not. Okay, so here we'll see how it is happening. So here it will click on new tab. As soon as it clicks on new tab, another tab will open. Let's wait for a second. This is just trying to check whether the application is loading or not. This application is very slow today because this. Okay, so it has like crossed 30 seconds of time. As we know that the default timeout of the playwright is 30 seconds. We'll try to again check whether it is able to launch within the 30 seconds or not, or else we'll increase the timeout. Not here, but in the configuration. So let's see. Okay, so we see like it has clicked on and it's saying that this is simple, and it again clicked on the new window as well, where it has opened the another windows. Okay, it was waiting for a couple of seconds, then it validated whether this is a sample page on the new tab, and then again it clicked on the new button by going back to the original page. Okay, so due to the time restriction that we have for 1.5 hours today, I'll have to stop over here uh, to see if you people have any kind of questions that I can take it for now. And probably I'll organize another session, workshop session, where I'll discuss regarding how can we basically take API into our project to handle, or to skip like login page. Let's say if we have 100 test cases, then why do we have to log in 100 times? Basically, one time we can check whether the login page is working or not, and after that we can utilize an API which Playwright is automatically able to select. Use the API to get the login authorization, and that we can use in terms of going forward in 99 other test cases. Okay, so any question for now, or anything that you want to know from this workshop?
Will there be an
Anyone?
introductory JavaScript course before we go into the details of Playwright?
Right. So if I talk about the content that we have, let me see if I have anything over here. Right. So course content will be shared by the team. So everything like before starting Playwright, the JavaScript, like whatever we required in terms of Playwright to go ahead, JavaScript will be completed before starting the Playwright. So all the things will be taken care in terms of JavaScript and Playwright. So before starting Playwright test case, JavaScript will be completed and will be covered before Playwright. Any other question from anyone?
So after this workshop, so you will be taking as a batch, or like this workshop is like post training Playwright.
No, this workshop is basically an initial stage. After this, we'll start with a demo session and then again a batch.
Okay, sir, I got it.
Okay. Yes, Shalu, are you trying to ask anything?
Sir,
Hello,
hello.
yes. Yes,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Can we integrate Cucumber with Playwright?
So in terms of Playwright, we will also be able to integrate Cucumber as we follow for other type of tools and technology where we use or integrate with page object model or Cucumber. In the same way, inside the Playwright also we'll be able to use Playwright or Cucumber, both of the framework, and both of the framework will be completed in the course as well.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're mentioning that there will be a default timeout for 3000 second.
Right, 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, it's applicable for all the element in the web page, or it's only for specific elements.
No. So auto waiting will be having with some kind of specific element, which
Uh,
not for the specific element, but for the
mm,
methods that we use. Okay, so if you
okay,
see this particular things, there they have given like auto waiting concept. Waiting will be applicable on a method which is check, click, double click, set checked, uncheck, hover, drag to, screenshot, fill, clear, and so on. And there are a lot of other methods that whenever we use these kind of methods on that particular methods, the auto waiting, which is like 30 seconds, will be um, applicable.
yeah, once
That is
that time, yeah, the element is not available on that time, it will again wait, or like fluent wait in Selenium. So it will again wait, or it will go to another part of the code.
right. So if the element is not available in the page, it will wait for 30 seconds to check whether it is available or not. If it is not
Mm.
available, then it will throw an error. Else, it will keep on going for the next step.
Okay, then how it's different from the Selenium, because Selenium is the same concept.
For Selenium, we have to basically define as customized logic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, customized. Okay, yeah, we can wait for a WebDriver wait for 50 second, or
Right,
uh,
right, correct, correct. But if you see in our script, I have not defined any customized waiting concept over. I did not even use any custom wait. If you see this wait for timeout, just wanted to show you that it is working. That is why I have used wait for timeout over here. In general, we'll not be using wait for timeout at any places. Just wanted to show you
okay,
people that it is working properly. That's where I have used wait for timeout. But if you see in general in the test script, we have not used anywhere the waiting concept, right?
okay,
So that is where the it is different from Selenium. In Selenium, we have to use WebDriver wait or Fluent wait to basically wait for an element and then proceed. Whereas Playwright will automatically take care of those things. It
yeah,
is having a 30 seconds. Mhm.
yeah, but if I want more time, we need to pass through the configuration.js.
Exactly. We have to just pass it through here, saying that timeout. Let's say 30 seconds timeout. That we can directly pass it over here. If you have to override
Yeah,
the
okay.
30 seconds default.
Yeah. Apart from that, what are the report Playwright supports?
Playwright supports all the major reports. Currently, I have not given anything over here. So if you see, this is a report which is which is basically creating a HTML. Whereas if I talk about the complete uh, report that it can generate, so it can generate any of the report that we follow, like extent report, LU report, a basic text report. So if I just try to show you over here, I believe I've not used anything. Right. So I've generated Allure report over here. So it can be integrated with Allure as well as the normal HTML and customized HTML report as well.
Okay. Also
Okay.
in Selenium, we are using some of the utility functions as well. So for that, we are creating a separate class for that. In during this course, we are we going to create a framework, and we are going to create create the utility class like that.
Right. So if you see this one, this is one of a course that I have recently completed where I have created a page
Mm,
object model framework,
mm.
and we have created in the exactly same way where we have created a class constructor, and then we have exported this class to utilize in other pages. We have also defined all the other pages. We have created the different test cases. We have also created the API test case. We are trying to also utilize, as you said, utility kind of things, so that we can also use or create in the same way as we create in the Selenium.
Okay. Okay.
Apart from that, we can also see like we have also generated a Cucumber uh, framework over here. So Cucumber framework and page object model will be easily integrated with this Playwright framework as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any other question for now?
Is it similar like a Cypress tool?
It is exactly not completely similar. Uh, there are a few of the difference, but it is if I talk about like 90% of the things are similar in terms of Cypress. The advantage that Playwright has, it will be able to handle different, like it will be able to use different languages, whereas Cypress is having a restriction of JavaScript. Also, in terms of Playwright, it will automatically work on different browsers of the mobile version. So if I talk about mobile version in the sense, if you see here, it automatically handles the mobile version of the Chrome for, let's say, Android and iOS, whereas Cypress does not support that automatically. But in general, 90% of the things are almost similar to Cypress. Okay. Any other for now? Great. If nothing else, then we can drop off. Thank you. Thanks once again for joining this workshop course. And if you want to get any kind of details from here, you can like either directly connect with me. I'll be also available on the same group that you people are, or you can directly connect with the person who you are in contact with. They'll be able to provide you the details. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, everyone, once again for joining.